So answering your questions in 2019, this one is for Omniscient Moon 77. That's a good name. Now, he or she wanted to know how to play the guitar on the keyboard. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. Now, there is a guitar interface, which is great. And it works really well. You can get smart guitar, you can get notes, you can even get individual scales, and you can get 4 different guitar sounds. We've got the acoustic, classic, clean, hard rock, and roots rock. I have a feeling on iOS 12 there are more sounds. But I'm also going to show you how to tweak those sounds after you've recorded as well. So I'm going to find instead the keyboard now. Now if we go to more sounds and other, we get a list of sounds here, which are the strings, a few orchestral instruments, which sound great. Check out my channel for those. They sound very, very good indeed, very useful, and all sorts of other things. Now, if I find acoustic guitar, I open up a keyboard page with an acoustic guitar sound, and it is the same sound that you had on the other guitar interface. Now, all that's absolutely fine, and you can play it as a keyboard. You could even line up the keyboard. If I press the button in the middle and scroll the keyboard along, I've got and switch it off again. I've got the bottom E of my guitar right on the left-hand side, which means I've got 2 octaves of notes to play with. In fact, if I did this, I have an E minor chord and equivalent notes on the piano. Or an E major if I move that G to a G sharp. So for guitarists, this is a very good way of learning your music theory as well. You can hear your guitar sounds and you can play with it on the piano. Yet another educational feature of GarageBand on the show. We've also got a velocity control here so that you can get some dynamic range out of it. If you open this up to its fullest extent, you can get more of a range. Useful. Really, really good. Now, Omniscient Moon asked, well, how do I do pitch bends and vibrato and that sort of thing? Well, the keyboard here has a pitch control that is assigned to those sounds. And by default, it's a tone each way, or 2 semitones. So I'm bending that A to a B. I can also do vibrato with this. If I just have maybe I'll go up an octave now. You've got to be a little bit gentle with this because it doesn't sound realistic otherwise. Subtle vibrato is the name of the game, especially on acoustic guitar. So there is the interface to do with this. Now you can also, if I go to pitch on that middle button on the keyboard, I can do bends by simply sliding my finger. This may be more appropriate if you're trying to get a vibrato and subtle bends, and also bends that are more than a tone. So if you really bend an A up to a C, that's pretty neat, I think you'd agree. It takes a little bit of moving about to get that vibrato to work. Now the only downside with this is that when you record this, you can't change things like the vibrato and the pitch bending afterwards. There are only certain things that you can adjust. So if I just record something, for example, Okay, so if I go into my edit window now, I can see my notes. If I just open up that. So, nowhere is there a place where you can adjust your bend or vibrato. You can only adjust the velocity. However, it will play back all the pitch bends and the vibrato that you put in there. So, mind you, this is just like recording an electric guitar part. If you bend the wrong note, you just go back and press record again. So, it's not all that bad, really. So, if I just try, if I go back into my keyboard and then try the hard rock guitar sound. You can get something realistic out of this. Now, we also have the ability with the keyboard version of this to set the gain, set the amount of gain that you've got. You can't do this. If I go back to set to the guitar interface, and go notes, for example, go to my hard rock sound, I have no way of actually adjusting the amount of gain. I do have a couple of pedals though. So you can't adjust much here, but if you go back into the keyboard sound equivalent, you can. This is important because it means that your hard rock guitar sound is suddenly different from everyone else's. You can also add some basic things like the tremolo. And then treble, which is more like a presence control on an amp. And there you have it. So you can also do the same things with this. You can do and you can get the very top notes where you couldn't on the fretboard, unless you have an iPad Pro where the fretboard is longer. That's not too bad. Now, the attack though, that's perhaps not as realistic as it may be on an electric guitar. We're dealing with an iPad here, for goodness sake. You know, it's the picture depicts a Gibson SG in cherry red. Okay, it's not Gibson SG in cherry red, but it'll get you somewhere. So the other thing you can do with this, if I turn the gain down here, and I'm going to go into my settings and take my reverb control and my echo control down. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to record a part. I'm just going to silence that acoustic guitar and I'm going to record the opening riff of Smoke on the Water. Classic tune. So I'm going to record it with no gain applied. This is essentially just like you put an electric guitar into a mixing desk or into the input of a guitar amp, and that's the appropriate thing. So here we go. Watch it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the main window now, and I'm going to merge this track. There we go. It's now turned that guitar file that I put in into an audio file. Now, I'm going to add a guitar amp. Distorted. Now I'm going to drag that guitar that I recorded onto the guitar amp track. Now, for some reason, with the sort of heavy rock sound, they put in a phaser pedal by default. That's okay, but you can remove it if you like. You then have access to all of these other guitar effects pedals. Great. Fuzz machine. So we've now removed that GarageBand sound from just being hard rock electric guitar. We've turned it into something that you can manipulate in any way, and we can even go into the track settings here and start compressing it up and putting other things on, like, I don't know, you name it. Overdrive, we can make it even filthier. Notice, however, that the dynamics have now gone. Instead of going ga ga, it's going ga da da. It's because we've applied so much gain that we've kind of missed the point of the sort of rhythmic section of that guitar. But you can do all sorts of other things with this. I'm going to try recording something else on another electric guitar track using the keyboard. So hard rock. Let's stick with that one, like the Gibson sort of humbuckery sound. So, what am I going to try and record? Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm going to make it slightly longer in the section just to see if I can get a result with this. And I know that I'm on the wrong guitar because Clapton played it on a Strat, I think. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, it doesn't matter if I can't get there because I can quantize that afterwards. What you can't do, though, is to quantize the bends for the reasons I said just now. I didn't let that pitch control go. Right, now if you let the pitch control go, it lets it go immediately, whereas when you're playing a guitar bend, you need to let it go just as if you were letting a string go. Okay, there was a wrong note in there. Well, quite a few. Ba-da-da-dee. It was that one. I'm going to just bring that up there. Okay, that's fine. Now, if I go back into my guitar sound here, I'm going to take the gain all the way down, the treble down, and I'm also going to take the reverb off it because I want to be able to add that all up afterwards. So I'm going to merge that track, turn it into an audio file, merge, there we go. And then I'm going to create a guitar amp track, distorted, nice Marshall to play through. I'll just get rid of that phaser that was there. That's off now. You can just drag stuff off the panel by just dragging the pedal and flicking it aside, and it'll get rid of that. So let's have a little listen to this and see what we can get. Now, of course, things like hammer-ons are going to be more tricky to do on this because we are now, we are playing a keyboard instrument. You can, however, if I just go to notes again and hard rock, You can do that. You can also, I'll just go back to find my keyboard. Keyboard more sounds hard rock. What you can try and do, because you can't do that mono sound as we had just now where it's only one note at once. You could try and combine them by literally making the notes a bit longer than the beginning of the next note. Now I could go back and record that, make the notes a bit longer so that it's ba 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 ba. Instead of that it's ba da 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 da. It's more of a continuous sound. But I hope on the Essent Moon 77 that this answers your question to a degree.